Hi, everybody. This is Philip Martin, and this is On Film on Video for October 8th, 2021. This will be a short one. The main thing I want to do this week is acknowledge that the big James Bond movie is finally open. It's here. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes long. I haven't seen it yet. What I'm hearing is good things. I have not even read our review of it yet. I've got the review up on my computer in the other room, but haven't read it, haven't edited it. We'll have it in a minute. I don't know that I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm going to try, because I'm going to Hot Springs for the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival, which is, I think it's the 30th festival. 29th or 30th. I think there was 1 year that they don't know whether they had a festival or not. I think there's always been some uncertainty about whether there was 1 year or not. I don't know why that was, but I remember we used to get that they used to put it in the press release. It'd be 28th or 27th, Hot Springs Film Festival. Anyway, the Documentary Film Festival is back. It is kind of low-key this year because of the pandemic, and so you're going to be seeing a lot of films virtually if you're going to participate in it. They do have 35 features, and that's not as many as they've had in the past, but it's still a lot of movies. It's still more than you're probably going to be able to see. I am, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be down there this weekend, and probably Saturday and Sunday. We'll see what we can see. I know that, I want to see the Arthur Ashe movie. I want to see The Return. I want to see the Julia Child movie. And I want to discover stuff, because that's the thing about these documentary film festivals. The thing about any film festival is that you really kind of, always run into things. You're always running into unexpected stuff. There's things that you don't think you care about that you end up caring about. I'm looking forward to actually going to a party. Haven't done that. Go to a workshop. Go see the Arkansas filmmaker stuff. I'm really, kind of jazzed up about it and ready to go. So we got James Bond. We got the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival. We've got a movie called I'm Your Man, which is really interesting. I did not know much about this. I knew it was at Berlin, and I knew it was a German film, and I knew it was another one of these AI romance movies, which is sort of like artificial intelligence, is the way forward, and can you fall in love with your computer, with your robot, her, all these films. But it's interesting. It's got Dan Stevens of Downton Abbey, who, is really a fascinating actor. I've seen him in a few things now, and I've never failed to be impressed by him. And he speaks German all the way through this. That's really impressive to me. So, maybe check that out if you're looking for some counter programming. Titane, I think that's how you say it. The French film that won the Palme d'Or is still here, and we will have a review of that next week. Next week, because we ran out of room, unfortunately. We do that still, because we're piling things in. People are contributing and doing good stuff. That's what happens. Also, we got the review of the Sopranos movie, the Many Saints of Newark. And what I want to say about the Many Saints of Newark is I really wasn't all that optimistic about it. And I'm trying to think why. I think it's just a matter that we couldn't get a screener of it. And usually when a critic has trouble getting hold of a screener, of seeing a movie in advance, it's because maybe the studio doesn't really want you to see it in advance. Maybe they are trying to discourage reviews of it. So anyway, we didn't have a review last week. And so I thought, well, it's probably average at best. And I really worried about a couple things. First of all, one of the great things about episodic, long-form, TV, sort of the trend that the Sopranos started, is you get to live with these characters for hours, and you get to know things about them, and you get to see how they relate with one another, and it's just a rich experience that if you can do it right, and a show like Deadwood or The Wire, you really feel like you know these people. Like these are something other than these characters that you encounter for an hour and a half or 2 hours in the theater. So, when you come back to that milieu, and you come to, in a 2-hour form, and you're got to consider that there's a lot of people, this is the entry point for them into that universe. Like, a lot of people who are going to see the Many Saints of Newark never watched The Sopranos. The Sopranos went off the air in, 2007? Maybe I'm wrong. I think 2007. So, or maybe it was, I don't know. But anyway, that feels right, because it was 1999 when it started. And it's been off. A lot of people never watched it. A lot of people just know it by reputation. Some people may never have heard of it. But they hear about this movie, and maybe they're interested and they're going to see it. And you've got to present something to the new people. You can't just give fan service. But you also owe your constituency something. One of the great things about making this a sequel, or a prequel, putting it before the hand, is you don't have to worry about bringing any of the old characters back and getting the old actors who played them to come back, and all that, and finessing that. You can just recast it. And they did a great job of casting, and you could tell if you're a Sopranos fan and you turn this on and you see these people sitting there, you go, oh, that's Big Pussy. That's Polly Walnuts. Even though they're different characters who are playing them, and they're different actors who are playing them, and they're 30 years younger than what we remember them as. All right? You can still see it, and you can still feel it. And the milieu that David Chase really knows this, world. His world, but he really knows it. And there are people who've created worlds and maybe don't know them all that well. But he knows this world really well. And he has the right look, the right light, the right accents, the right faces. He does that very well. Gets them all. And he's a good storyteller, which should go without saying, because this is the guy who did The Sopranos. And he also did a little movie in 2012 called Not Fade Away, which is sort of like a darker, more realistic take on the Tom Hanks movie, That Thing You Do, which is, I love That Thing You Do. I really do. I like that movie a lot. I also like Not Fade Away a lot. Not Fade Away didn't do any business at the box office. I don't know how it got received critically. I think it was probably a big eh. But I liked it a lot, and it felt real. It felt like, these guys feel when you're in a band, when you're in a struggling band. It's basically about a New Jersey band that's sort of a analog to the Rolling Stones, only they don't make it. And these are all the reasons why. And it's not for lack of talent or trying or anything like that. It's an interesting film, and also James Gandolfini's in that. Now, the interesting thing about the casting here is they did cast Michael Gandolfini as Tony, the young Tony Soprano, the teenage guy, and it works because he looks like his dad. He's got some of his gestures, but he's not doing an impression. It's not like I'm, teenage Tony. It's like you're incoherent Tony, and that's sort of different. And the good thing about the movie is, and one of the things I expected it to be more an origin story of Tony Soprano. I mean, I thought that we would concentrate on the kid and we would see all these different opportunities he had to go a different way, to not be involved in this life, to be a better, kinder person. But it did a more interesting thing, and it has a little bit of that, but it tells the story of the uncle that we never saw in The Soprano, the beloved Dickie Molsante, Father Christopher, who narrates the movie for a little bit, and I'm not sure that was my favorite part of it. But again, you've got to pay attention to that part of your audience that is totally unfamiliar with this world. So maybe it's good that right in the beginning, the baby tells you that this kid is going to end up killing him down the road. Spoiler alert, that's in the first scene. So, you know. But anyway, I liked it a lot better than I think that a lot of people did. And I think that in a different environment, you know, it might have been received differently. And I think that if it were not tied to Sopranos, you know, if it just came out on its own, it would probably do all right. I mean, it's not a Scorsese gangster film. It's not that level of Sturm und Drang. It's not that heightened. And I kind of like that. It's a very cold-blooded movie. The best parts of The Irishman, you know, it's not that. But it's very good at that sort of confusion you have after you've done something you shouldn't have done, and maybe it was inescapable what you did. Maybe it's just you did the right thing, but it sure looks wrong, you know. It's very good at those kinds of moments and those kinds of things, and the sort of traps, dilemmas that we, you know, make for ourselves and that our family and that our culture, our community actually makes for us. So there's a short review of. I was going to write that, but we ran out of space. Couldn't run my column this week. See, this is the reason that we do this is because there's just certain things I need to tell you about this week's section. I need to tell you that, yes, we have James Bond. We have two takes on it. We have Piers giving you the review and Dan Liebarger giving you basically some of the history. Not all the history. I could have written a little bit more about that because Bond was probably based on this Jewish guy who was executed by the Russians in 1925. And Ian Fleming didn't know that guy, but he knew people who knew him and heard the stories about him. And I think that's where Bond gets some of his flash. Though Craig, is it blasphemous to say he's my favorite Bond? Maybe it is, because I still like Dr. No. I still like the Sean Connery Bond, and I like those movies. But I also like Craig as the character because he's just brutal. He's just a fist, you know? And he's a lot like the character in the book. And the whole Bond franchise thing is really, it's kind of this goofy thing. It's about the watches and the cars and I have the Omega the Seamaster, the Omega Seamaster that Bond wore in the last movie. Now they came out with another one for this movie, if you've got, I don't know, $15,000, $18,000, yeah, you can have that. But it's we really look to the movies to teach us how to live and how to act in the world, how to behave, how to talk to girls, how to flirt, how to, wear our coats, how to hold our firearms sideways. We do how to smoke. And this is one of those movies that has instructed an awful lot of us about a lot of things. I'm not sure that it did a good job or that that's particularly valorous or a good thing. But Bond is Bond, and I've been kind of a Bond fan my whole life, so I'm going to watch this. Only probably not this weekend. But maybe you will. So we'll see it, and take care.